Hello, students. This is a short overview of things I want you to pay attention and look for in The Bed and Breakfast by Molly Dektar. Now, first of all, this is a really lovely story. This story is told through that point of view of Louise. And Louise kind of, this is from when she's about 11 to about kind of, we can guess when she's about 12-ish. Um, Interestingly enough, we can see that this story is kind of, it's from it's Louise at that age, but we get the sense that at some point, there are some hints, in some phrasing that this might be being told by Louise from some, future time, given that she kind of just says at various times, like a couple of thoughts that are a lot more adult when she's saying, like, I was a manipulative child and I did this for this reason. So there's a sense that this is not Louise as an 11, 12-year-old giving this story. This is Louise as an older kind of, at some future point, Louise telling about this experience and series of experiences that she had when, her parents had moved from North Carolina to Italy. Now, there's a lot to unpack in this particular story. Very much pay attention to that kind of slow parsing out of information that we have, of, the extent to which we start realizing that, the unreliability of Louise's father, Peter, the kind of, when we start kind of digging at that relationship between Peter and his wife, Sarah, and kind of what Sarah actually feels about this massive move that they've had, and kind of those experiences of Louise and her brothers kind of trying to navigate what we start realizing is a very unsafe situation, and that they themselves are, perhaps not being, parented in a really great way. And kind of, there are a lot of like really lovely moments, and kind of that involvement of Claudio and Louise's very kind of conflicting feelings toward Claudio, whether she kind of, there's those references like they really would rather live in Claudio's house because obviously his roof actually works. But at the same time, Louise feels really cautious about Claudio. And when she does finally kind of go into Claudio's house and there her mother is in Claudio's bed, we start kind of really unpacking and looking at kind of the journey that we've had and what on earth is going on with Louise's parents. And but the future Louise is very much kind of showing us kind of what Louise at that age was perceiving about the adults and their unreliability, and how these people were surrounding her, and how she and her brothers were kind of reacting in this circumstance. A lot of really interesting writing here. And this is a really interesting story kind of to kind of look at and think about kind of what you were emotionally feeling at various points. Like, what were you feeling toward Louise, toward her safety at various points, toward kind of how she was responding in these circumstances? Think about kind of which, kind of essay lens would allow you to kind of best look at and think about this story and what is occurring, and kind of what Louise is learning about the actual reliability of those adults around her, who are supposed to be caretaking for her, and yet at the same time don't really seem to understand how to even do a lot of things and accomplish things. And what she, the realization that what she's being told is often very different from circumstances as they are. So I hope you kind of keep these things in mind as you go through, read the story again. It's a really great story. This is a lovely story by Dektar, and I hope that people have enjoyed it.